Bonjour.
Bienvenue. Bonjour. We're gonna try and not crash this boat and not tip it over.
Wish us luck.
Wish us luck. I don't even know your name, but I do have to apologize for that tip I gave you. Hello and welcome to another episode of MANTAR. I'm so glad to have you guys back here. Please remember, before we start, like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell. Please do all the things. If you like this content, it helps me out. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to the hours of watch time. So, I've alluded to this in prior episodes, but I just got back from another trip, and I said it was a super secret trip, except if you follow me on Instagram, you already know where I went. But if you don't, first of all, follow me on Instagram, at MantarNYC, at MANTARNYC. Follow me there, follow me on Twitter. But also, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you don't know where I went, and so we're going to talk about it today because I had a really good time in the People's Republic of Canada. That was a joke, but really, they're basically almost communist over there. Prayers for Canada. But I had a really good time, and I was in French Canada. I have been to Toronto and Niagara before in my life. Those are both in English parts of Canada, so this was my first time in French Canada. So here we go, and I hope you enjoy. This episode is entirely devoted to my trip to Montreal, so you're not going to get any political bitching on the show today. That'll come back probably on the next episode. But for now, let's dive into it. Montreal 2023. Me and my best friend Kathleen Grace Fiori, we had a good time, and we're going to share it with you right now. Okay, so good morning. It is September 1st, 2023. At least it was in this photograph. And Kathleen Grace and myself are in LaGuardia Airport getting ready to go to Montreal. We have our passports, we have our bags, we have everything we need to make a little jaunt on the 55-minute flight to another country. And yes, I'm wearing my glasses because I got about 2 hours of sleep the night before. I never really sleep too well before I have a big trip coming, and that night before was no exception. So I was wearing my glasses because contacts were not going to happen that morning. So we board Air Canada. And I have to tell you, I have a lot of criticisms about Canada, but their flight was cute. And guess what? I managed to get a seat. I prepaid for a seat. I paid 25 American dollars per leg of the trip, so that was outbound and inbound, to choose my seat ahead of time, and I chose seat 12A. This was seat 12A on Air Canada. It was right behind the first class section, so I had the bulkhead in front of me, which means I had extra leg room. Didn't even realize that when I was reserving my seat. I was only reserving my seat to get a window. The window is very, very important to me on a plane because I just love to look out the window. But it happened that my seat that I selected was a seat with extra legroom by default. So 55 minutes later, we are descending into the Montreal metro area. And as you can see, there's sort of the urban Montreal city center over there in the distance, as well as Mount Royale, where the city is named after. It's basically their Central Park, but it's up on a big hill. So we arrive and get the formalities out of the way, and just like that, where are we?
Montreal. Bonjour.
Bienvenue. Bonjour. That's my friend Kathleen Grace. We spent a lovely weekend together. She is one of my best friends from college. Give her a little bit of love at Kathleen Grace Fiori on Instagram. Thank you so much. And from the airport, we Uber into town. Fun fact about Montreal, most people do speak English if you are in the downtown area, but they will always address you first in French. And why shouldn't they? French is the official language in the province of Quebec, so they are going to address you in French. But if you speak English to them, they will usually speak English to you. Except what we found were the Uber drivers. The Uber drivers, I think we took 4 Ubers while we were there, and I believe 3 of them, the drivers had trouble with English. So we had to practice a little bit with our French and speak very bad French to these Uber drivers, but we were able to make ourselves understood. I speak Spanish, so French was not the most difficult thing in the world to try and learn. We arrive in our hotel right in the middle of downtown Montreal. We had a very nice room. Here's a little room tour. Very nice, very cozy for the 4 nights that we were there. Just enough room to stretch out and have some time to sleep, because that's pretty much the most time that we spent in the room was sleeping. We were right in the middle of what I believe was the Arts District. At least our subway stop was Place des Arts, which means, I think, Art Plaza of Arts or something like that. I'm already getting trouble with the French for my poor language skills. But it was great. So we had a couple of days in Montreal. We did 1 day trip outside of Montreal, and we will go through all of that. One of the best sites in Montreal to see is the Notre Basilica. It was gorgeous. Just go ahead and look at that exterior. There I am. I'm small because I'm not that important in this photo, but you can see there I am with Notre Dame Basilica behind me. There's another photo of me with the Basilica and yet another one, and there's one a little bit more close up. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And look at that interior. Look at the beautiful interior. This photo doesn't even do it justice. The ceilings were high and arched with beautiful designs. It was just all very ornate and beautiful. Lovely little statues and paintings and all kinds of things that you just were absolutely awed by. I know why. Before we went to Montreal, we all the travel sites that I had looked at had said Notre Dame Basilica is a must-see, and I can see why. It is absolutely gorgeous there. And here's some video. The bells were chiming 3 o'clock as we walked out. And then we took a little jaunt down into Old Montreal. Now, what I would say overall my impression of Montreal is that most of the city is a lot like New York. It's pretty modern. It looks pretty design-wise the way New York looks. And it's also, unfortunately, like New York in that the streets are kind of dirty. They're kind of dirty. There's a lot of homeless people. There's a lot of, I would only guess that they're drug addicts, the type of person you're walking down the street and you kind of want to avoid. They look a little bit schizophrenic. It's unfortunate, right? These people obviously in any city should be cared for, but it appears that the city of Montreal is not doing a great job of that. There was a lot of, it seemed like, homeless, addicted, possibly schizophrenic people walking around. So a lot of it, especially sort of the downtown area where we were staying, was not that much different from New York, except everybody spoke French. That was the biggest difference. And they took Canadian money. That's another difference. But a lot of it reminded me of a city in the US. However, there was one part of the city that was distinctly European looking, and that was Old Montreal. That was another place that was on the bucket list, and we were told by all the travel sites to go there. So we did go into Old Montreal, and that looks distinctly European. That does have sort of its old charm. Still got the kind of vagrants walking around, but at least the architecture was pretty. So let's take a look at some of these pictures. See the cobblestone streets and the sort of European looking buildings. You might think we were in France even with some of this architecture, and it was a very beautiful area to walk through. Fun fact, this little store, Maison Margane, I spent about $65 on what was described to me as a sort of natural oil product for the skin. I've been using it, and I think I need to slow up on it. I think I have to treat it more like a cologne than like a skin oil, because it's quite strong. So then we continued to walk through Old Montreal. I've been to Charleston, South Carolina a few times in the past year, and some of these areas looked a lot like Charleston. And then I was reminded that both cities have French influence, so I went, oh duh, that makes sense. And then right at the edge of Old Montreal, right on the St. Lawrence River, is Old Port, which is very touristy. It's very crowded, but I know why people like it. There's lots of attractions, there's lots of food carts, there's lots, and there's a little pretty waterfront area. Look at that picture of us right in front of the beautiful fountain. That was a very nice area. And then right there at the edge of Old Port, there's a beautiful Ferris wheel, which we took advantage of so that we could go see the city on high. Are we liking the view so far?
Gorgeous. We love it here.
On our way up, Ferris wheel time. So this is us on our way up, and then that's pretty much towards the top. And then you see again in the distance, you can see Mount Royale. It's right in the middle of the city. And it's kind of a cool little view when you can see a pretty urban area with a sort of nature preserved hill right in the background. And here are some other pictures of seeing Montreal on high. Again, you can see old Montreal right in front of us, the more European looking buildings. And then there in the distance, there's the more sort of modern architecture you might find in any US city. Interesting to note, it was September 1st. And you can see the trees already are starting to have fall colors in Montreal. They are a bit more north than New York City. I'm not used to seeing fall colors until pretty much mid-October, but over here in Montreal, we saw fall colors a few times. Look at that other picture. There's a couple of pictures that have fall colors in there, so that was interesting. And then some more of us walking through the cobblestone European-looking streets. We had dinner, of course, at a French restaurant. We actually did that twice. The second time was on our last night, and that was a very fancy place. That was very nice. But on our first night, it was sort of a funky French jazz restaurant. It was called Modavie. Shout out to Modavie. Thank you so much for having us for dinner. You guys were great. I tried escargot for the first time. It was in this like truffle butter something or other. It was delicious. So escargot. We love escargot, and I'm excited to try it more in other French places. I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, I've become very adventurous with food, and so I do like to try new things. And then I had a beautiful ribeye steak. Look at that. Look at that gorgeous thing. So the next day, we had seen it from the plane, we had seen it from the Ferris wheel, we had to hike up Mont Royale. And unfortunately, apparently there's a beautiful lookout over the city. We could not find it. If you're from Montreal and you think that we're ridiculously stupid for not finding the lookout, I probably don't blame you. But we were walking around and we were somewhere where we thought was the top. We were like, there's no more up. Everything from this spot we found went down, but there was no lookout. So this is actually before we even got into Montreal Park. You're already going up a pretty steep hill, and then you get in. Look at those fall colors again. Look at those fall colors. That's incredible. And then this was somewhat, I don't think it was the top. Again, we probably didn't make it to the top, but this was a beautiful lake. Again, why it reminds me so much of Central Park. And it was just gorgeous. And we have these videos here, and look at that little duck. There were a lot of ducks. And when we were done with Montreal Park, we had to go get a beautiful Canadian staple, poutine. But on our way to get poutine, we had to try the subway in Montreal. It's called the Metro. The Metro. It was very nice. It was a lot cleaner than the New York City subway, I will say that. Also, a fun fact is that the subways in Montreal, the Metro, has rubber tires, as you can see in this video, and I thought that was cool. And it certainly made the ride, well, I don't know if the rubber tires did, but the ride was kind of quick and it was smooth. It wasn't bumpy like a lot of trains can be. How do we like the Montreal subway?
So we love it. It's very clean, it's very fast. It's a little smaller than New York, but easy to do.
So we arrive at Greenspot. Greenspot was the name of this poutine place. It looked like a New York City diner, except they specialize in poutine. And let me tell you, did they specialize in poutine? Look at those French fries, gravy, the cheese curd. This particular one had smoked meat on it as well.
So good.
What I learned about poutine is sort of all over Canada supposedly, but apparently it originated in Quebec in French Canada. So that was a little fun fact I learned, and so I was asking people, and they're very proud of their poutine, and they said, no, the best poutine is in Quebec. And that poutine at Greenspot was very hard to beat. I had it one more time, and probably Greenspot, I would say, was a little bit better. And then we went back to Old Port for a little paddle boating. We are taking in the sights of Montreal.
Paddle boating.
On a little paddle boat. This is the second paddle boat.
Would you say we're pros?
I would say we're advanced beginners.
We are novice paddle boaters.
Yeah, no, but we got through the beginner phase.
We're way farther than we were in the other boat.
So this is the second boat because the first boat wouldn't go the way that I was asking it to when I was on the steering wheel.
Well, broken.
This one doesn't always go the way that I'm asking it to. Like, see, we're curving a little bit, but I am.
Ducks.
Oh, we're coming up to some ducks, and I can't flip the screen. Wait. Do you see the ducks? Look at the ducks. Hi, ducks.
So cute.
All right. Well, we're gonna try and not crash this boat and not tip it over.
Wish us luck.
Wish us luck. Mwah mwah. Say bye.
Bye bye.
Obviously, the paddle boating was slightly embarrassing. So, after our second day in Montreal, the next day we went to Quebec City, and we went there by train. We took Via Rail. Via Rail is basically Amtrak of Canada. And we did something very interesting so that we could compare it. We took Via Rail economy class on the way out to Quebec City, and we came back in Via Rail business class. So I'm going to tell you my impressions of both. So here we are. It is 8:30-ish in the morning, getting on an 8:46 a.m. train out of Montreal Gare Centrale. Ooh, did I pronounce that right? Gare Centrale, and boarding train number 622 en route to Quebec. The status was embarquement. I think that means boarding. And here we are. Here is our economy seat on the way out to Quebec City. Pretty standard. The seats are actually a little less nice than the newest seats on Amtrak. So we pulled out of the station on time, going outside of the outskirts of Montreal, crossing over the St. Lawrence River and into the Canadian countryside.
Attention s'il vous plaît, notre prochain arrêt sera la gare de Saint-Hyacinthe dans environ 10 minutes. Your attention please, our next stop will be Saint-Hyacinthe in approximately 10 minutes. Thank you.
And before you know it, we were arriving in Quebec City. See that beautiful sort of city on a hill. And immediately we went to find food. Café au Québec. And there's some more poutine. So we decided to take a walking tour in Quebec City because we were only going to be there for 5 hours, and we didn't want to walk around aimlessly and miss something we might have otherwise wanted to see. The walking tour was a little bit long. It was supposed to go 2 hours. It ended up going to about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Could have shaved off that last 45 minutes so we could have explored on our own. However, our tour guide was lovely, and I doubt she's watching this, but just in case you are, I don't even know your name, but I do have to apologize for that tip I gave you. So my friend asked me if I had, or I don't know what she said, but I heard, do you have a few dollars to tip her? Because I guess you tip tour guides. I like to say that I love traveling, but have I done a lot of walking tours and things like that? No, not really. So I frantically scrambled in my pocket for a little change to give her. And I only use the word change because their lowest bills, their lowest paper bills, actually they're plastic. That's another thing. But anyway, their lowest paper bills are fives, right? So I was digging in my pocket for the $1 and the $2 coins. And I found 3 $2 coins. And I thought, okay, I'll give her $6. Anyway, the look that she gave me, and I was like, I turned to my friend, I was like, should I have tipped her more? And she was like, how much did you give her? I was like, $6. And she was like, oh no, like, look at what other people are getting. And I'm looking around and they're all giving her 10s and 20s. So that was my faux pas. I had no idea how much the tip was supposed to be. And so if I ever come back to Quebec and take another tour with you, I'll tip you $50 because of my faux pas. Faux pas, that's French. That was, oh goodness, I forget even what that building was, but it was beautiful. So they have this sort of, I almost call it, well, it is a boardwalk. They have this boardwalk that's beautiful. It's got little shops on it, and it's right on the St. Lawrence River, and it's a gorgeous lookout. Look at that lookout right there. That building right there is the Chateau du... Wait. My French, ready? Let's do it. Chateau de Frontenac. Chateau de Frontenac. Anyway, it was obviously like the most stunning building in Quebec. Look at that. And that's an old, I believe it's a hotel now. And then you have this building that towers above the rest of the city. I don't believe that's the Parliament building, but there's something about like their pride and joy. They call it like their pride and joy or something like that. There's a little cute park. That, I believe she told us, the tour guide, that restaurant there was the oldest in the city from, I believe, back to the 1600s. And unlike Montreal, the entirety of Quebec City felt like you were in a European paradise. I mean, the architecture, obviously, you see as we're looking through these photos, is just gorgeous and quaint. So then there was the Chapel of Marie de l'Incarnation, Marie of the Incarnation, I think would be the translation. There we were, dimanche 3 septembre 23. Sunday 3rd of September 23. I think I messed up 23. Anyway, another beautiful building, and Kathleen Grace and I in front of the chateau. Well, the chateau is up on the hill in the distance. And then it was time to head back to Montreal. So this was our business class return trip. So here are our seats on business class. As you can see, there's a nice little divider with two places to have drinks right in the middle. The armrests are there. So the seats are slightly wider, I believe. And we were treated to a full bar and meal service. Now, as many of you know, I do not drink alcohol. However, the wonderful car attendant that was taking care of us that evening was able to make me a virgin Bloody Mary. He was making Bloody Marys for other folks on the thing, so I did get to look nice and fancy. And then they gave us some nuts and like sesame sticks to start off, and then they gave us a full meal. Unfortunately, we were like the last passengers in the car, so some of his meal, like he had run out of the lasagna, he had run out of another item on the list, so our options were chicken or fish. I would say we got the tandoori chicken, both of us, and I would say that it was akin to an economy class airline meal. Business class airline meals, they're a little bit nicer than what we got, but we had a little tray of fruit and cheese. I got sparkling water, and I had my tandoori chicken with rice and a little carrot cake. The other thing was we were traveling from Quebec City. We boarded at 5:45 and got back into Montreal at like 9:10, 9:15. And so really we were traveling during dinner time, and the meal was included in our ticket. The ticket was not very much more expensive than the economy class ticket. It was about $40 more expensive, which for getting a full meal included in the price of the ticket and a bar service, and we had coffee service at the end after the meal. They came around and gave us coffee. I would say it was worth it. I would have spent $40 on dinner anyway, and like I said, we were traveling pretty much through dinner time. And then it was our last day in Montreal. So we're in this cute little neighborhoody section of Montreal.
On our way to get bagels.
Bagels,
at
Montreal
Saint
bagels.
Viateur.
And tell us about Saint Viateur, what you know.
Okay, what I know, they're boiled in honey water. The hole in the middle is bigger, and supposedly they're better than New York bagels, which is a very big claim.
That's a very big claim. We're gonna see about that.
We're gonna go check it out.
Okay, wish us luck. Ah!
Is it good?
It's very good. The bagel's a little bit sweeter than in New York. They're a little bit of a different shape. but it's very good. It's different. It's like, it's not the same, but it's like, it's really good. I would recommend this place. It's Saint Venture.
Viateur.
Saint Viateur Bagel in Montreal. Very good.
You heard it here first.
And then we went to the beautiful Marche. Wait. I have to pronounce it right. The beautiful Marche Jean Tallon. It's like a little farmer's market. It was our last day there, so we weren't even. Look at those beautiful fruits and vegetables. Look how fresh everything looked. Unfortunately, it was our last day there, and we knew we weren't going to get a chance to eat anything that we were going to buy because we had dinner reservations later and blah, blah, blah. So we didn't buy anything because you obviously cannot take fresh fruits and vegetables into the United States over an international border. That's a big no-no with customs. So we did not buy anything, but we looked. Then we went out for our last dinner that evening at the restaurant. I'm not going to pronounce this right, but Lemeac, Lemeac. I'm gonna put all the places we went to eat, by the way, in the description below. So anything that I've woefully mispronounced is gonna be down there. But yes, shout out to Lemeac if I'm pronouncing it wrong. My apologies. But what a beautiful French restaurant to close out the trip. The ambiance was beautiful. Look at me. There's me and Kathleen Grace sitting at our table, and we just went to town with a beautiful French meal. We had foie gras. And I don't know if I'm supposed to do this with foie gras, but that's what I did because I didn't know better. So I just kind of spread it on the little bread. You can put in the comments below if I was supposed to do that. Was I supposed to spread it on the little bread? Anyway, and then I had an herb roasted calf liver with mashed potatoes. Yes, I know everybody watching this is going, liver. Let me tell you something. Liver gets a bad rep. Liver is really, really healthy for you, first of all. It's one of the healthiest parts of the animal you can eat. I actually very much enjoy it. Now, it has to be prepared right, and this restaurant prepared the liver perfectly. It was very, very good, very tasty with the mashed potatoes, the balsamic glaze. It was just so good. And then we had a French toast with ice cream thing for dessert. I didn't get a picture of that. Oh, and we had a salmon tartare also with the foie gras, though. That was an appetizer. That was really good. It was a truffle oil. I didn't get a picture of this either, but it was a truffle oil infused salmon tartare. It was absolutely delicious. If you are in Montreal, I recommend Lemeac restaurant. I'll put links to all of these places in my description below and links to their websites and everything in case anybody's traveling to Montreal in the near future. It was an absolutely beautiful trip. We went home after Lemeac. We packed, we got ourselves together, and then the next morning we were on our way to Montreal Pierre Trudeau Airport and on our way back to the great United States of America. And that concludes my trip to Montreal. I hope you had a good time kind of reliving that with me. Tell me if you want more travel content on this channel. I would more than happy to oblige. I absolutely love traveling. I think it's one of the best ways to get out of your comfort zone and go do something that you haven't done before and meet people who live a different way than you and get to experience other cultures and other ways of life in the world. It really humbles you. I think it really humbles me to see that, you know, I'm not the center of the universe and that there's other things. Not that I think I'm the center of the universe, but sometimes it's good for a little reminder to be like, it's not all about you, Antar. So that's my story for today. You're going to get some more political content probably on the next episode because I don't have a trip planned for a while, so we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. But in the meantime, until we meet again, everyone out there in YouTube land, have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, morning, whatever time you're watching this. Please remember to subscribe to this channel. Please leave a comment below. What do you think of the travel content? Please leave a comment below anything else you think about the video. I do read your comments. I appreciate all of them. Please remember to give it a thumbs up if you think it's a thumbs up, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
It's a little smaller than New York, but easy to do.
Yeah, very clean. Let's look around. Oh, can I change the camera? Is that a thing?
No,
that's not a thing. Okay, bye.
Jean Tallon. And it's this amazing outdoor market with everything. Wait, cut this off.